Welcome back to the show. We got a great one lined up. Let's not waste any time. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You can follow us on X, YouTube, and digperspectives.com for exclusive content. Right now, $3.34 trillion market cap for crypto. The market's off by 2.1%. Bitcoin, 96,300 plus. Ethereum, 2,700 plus. XRP at the number 3 spot again, $2.69 right now. We're off 2.5 on the 24, but we're still up 11.3 on the 7-day. Look at the range of price. We're ranging between 263 and 276. So we're not on the floor, right? But we need to get moving. I want to see things going in the right direction. I know everybody else does too. But we have so much good news in front of us, and we've fought this long. We've been here this long. We been through so many years of suppression and court cases and this and that and the other. The crypto winners we've suffered. We're too close now to get upset. I can tell you that. I'm actually more excited than ever. And let me tell you something. It's XRP Las Vegas, ladies and gentlemen. Get your tickets before they're gone. Don't mess around. I'm telling you. Look, some of the latest that we've just announced here, besides Cody Carbone, the Honorable Christian Carlo, Brad Garlinghouse, and Simon McLaughlin, Dr. Chris Brummer from Blueprint, and Georgetown Law Professor, DC FinTech Week, CEO Kevin Maloney from iTrust Capital, CEO Canary Capital, Stephen McClurg, Austin King from Omni, Mark Otto from Monerex, Nancy Beaton from Uphold, President of MoonPay, ladies and gentlemen, doing big things, Keith Grossman. We see Gregos Vlachos from Axelar, Dom and Phil Kwok, who obviously have an app called Easy A that is tied into over 1 million developers. We are representing one of the largest, if not the largest body of developers this year at XRP Las Vegas, and I cannot stated enough. I'm super excited about that because their moment is about to come in a big way for developers. When this legislation goes through, as I've always said, is the logjam to open up the next era of the digital on-chain economy. How do I know that? I know that because I'm using history. I've always used history to see where we're going. And the Telecommunications Act of 1996 did exactly the same thing for the birth of the internet. The legislation we get this year for the market infrastructure bill and stablecoins, I believe is going to replicate the same effect. Super, super excited. We got Bitwise, Matt Hogan, Web3 Industries, Boone Bergsman, and Paul Barron, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you right now, this is a lineup for the ages. Get your ticket below. You're going to learn so much. And listen, you're not just spending money on a ticket for some big party. This is going to be a lot of fun. But let me tell you something. You're making an investment in yourself because of what you're going to learn at this conference. I don't play games. You're going to learn a lot of things that you wouldn't learn anywhere else when you get to this conference. And I know that confidently because I've seen it happen over the last 2 years we've done it. Link underneath the video. Take a listen to this very quickly here. I'm going to play this because I want to set the tone. You know the All In podcast that David Sachs and Chamath Palihapitiya and Jason and the other gentlemen are on. A very popular podcast of very wealthy people and entrepreneurs in the tech space. And I love listening to it. But remember when the court case came out for Ripple, it was David Sachs all the way back then, July 13th, right? Then he knew that Ripple and XRP were good and the case should have never happened. But the guy Jason on the podcast was stuck on it because he doesn't believe XRP is not a security at all. But listen to the way David Sachs laid it down for him. You're not going to figure this out in real time, Jason.
To figure this out in real time. This is too complicated. The bottom line is that the headline is...
Well, I just want to make sure the audience gets it, yeah.
Look, the headline is, I'm reading the tweet, Ripple sales of XRP do not constitute offer of investment contracts, according to Judge. They won.
They won.
And Jason can't stand it. That's Chamath Palihapitiya. There's Jason right there. And here's Jason right here. This came out yesterday. Jason says XRP is centrally controlled security. Is that even a question for anyone here? The same guy that couldn't figure out in real time the decision from Judge Annalisa Torres. According to every crypto OG I talked to, it's the opposite of Bitcoin. You're right. It's much faster than Bitcoin. If the SEC allows it to trade like Bitcoin, then securities law will be worthless. There will be a chaos in the markets as millions startups, funds, grifters start dumping 50% of their coins on retail while slowly selling the 50% they own and control. That kind of chaos is not a good idea for America because the world believes we have stable, controlled markets and they're willing to park and invest their money with us. He goes on to say, boy, this is a lot of nonsense. Jason is a gentleman who doesn't embarrass very easily. Let's get that out of the way right now. Now, if there was a sophisticated investor test and XRP could only be traded by people who passed that test, well, at least those individuals would be educated to how dangerous it is to invest too much into these type of projects. Oh, but it's okay to put your money in Bitcoin, right? Where they're lying about the 4 Satoshis that we all know have been interviewed by the Department of Homeland Security. It's okay to dump your life into Bitcoin knowing it has some of the slowest transactions and the highest fees on the network. That it failed as money and is now being hijacked by Wall Street. It only has 21 million, so Wall Street needs a very small percentage to manipulate and control Bitcoin for the rest of eternity. But that's okay to put your money into that, says Jason. Yeah, that's what Jason says. John Deaton replies, someone who publicly disclosed while running for U.S. Senate owning 80% of his net worth in Bitcoin, and as someone who fought the SEC over this very issue and won with a lifelong Democratic judge appointed by Barack Obama, citing to my efforts in legal work, I'd be happy to educate Jason on the law if he desires, but he may prefer to issue statements like this one unchallenged in order to further promote potential bias. That's exactly right. And I say here, this probably isn't the first time Jason has heard this, and I'm sure it probably won't be the last. Jason, whatever you're doing, do better. Jason, this is going to sting too. Patrick Bet David asked, which crypto has the best long-term technology? Uh-oh. Jason's not going to have a good morning. 46% Ripple. Everybody else less, including Bitcoin. Meanwhile, I talked about this. State Street and Citibank are diving into the world of cryptocurrency, launching crypto custody services. Stay with me here. I reminded everybody over the weekend, Citigroup is expanding into Bitcoin and crypto custody, joining top-tier banks embracing blockchain with $44.3 trillion in assets. This isn't a corner store, ladies and gentlemen. Citi is jumping into digital asset management alongside BNY Mellon and State Street and others. And I'm absolutely willing to use a bank for crypto as long as I got the insurance with it. I don't want to hold my Apple stocks either. But I think you want self-custody, you should have the right to do it, for sure. Then we get this turn. While all of this is happening, the banks are coming off the sidelines, getting ready to launch what I would expect to be market-ready products for custody. And think for a second just how quickly that's going to send things crazy when retail bankers, retail investors with banks and their banks are comfortable with their relationship there. They don't have to open up an account on an exchange because they're scared to, and I get it. I understand it's new. They don't understand it. But if I can walk into my Bank of America, I can walk into my Wells Fargo or Capital One or whatever, and you could just let me move some of it from my checking or savings into having it. It's going to change the game. And then when you introduce stable coins, think about the complement here of how you're going to move all this money around, how you're going to cash it all out, how you're going to be able to get in and out comfortably. It's a very quick way to acclimate the rest of the world to digital money, stable coins. And the Fed governor calls for a regulatory framework allowing banks and institutions to issue said stable coins. And yes, it is Governor Waller, Christopher Waller, right? This guy's been very vocal here lately. He wants to be a leader with this new administration in line here. The first theme I'll explore is one that I've discussed in the past, the safety and soundness of stablecoins and the need for clear regulatory regime for stablecoins in the United States that are saying by April or in April, we're going to have this legislation, maybe before. Think of it. That's how close we are here. And at the same time, we're hearing the conversation in the crypto land with the crypto czar and others up in Capitol Hill about putting all the U.S. treasuries and on blockchain as an audit layer. Very quickly here.
Could we trust it as an audit layer of the Treasury Department to basically look at all the payment inflows and outflows? Probably, yeah. And actually it'd be tremendously valuable because then you put AI on top of it and then you can look for waste, fraud, and abuse.
It's a no-brainer. And it absolutely should be done, and it should be audited and vetted before we start releasing stablecoins. And they could do this in a flash, because you know they got AI. They're not just in there with just 4 dudes doing this stuff. They're using computer algorithms and all this stuff to scan these different departments. You can bet your bottom dollar on it. Let's do all of that. Let's scalp all that waste, fraud, and abuse out as much as we possibly can before putting it on blockchain, get the stablecoin legislation put through, and then start releasing it all and then tokenizing the treasuries on blockchain, a la we know it's already being done with Ondo Finance in conjunction with BlackRock and the XRP ledger. Come on in. We see where this is going, and believe me, we've been waiting for years, but this is happening fast now. This is like a landslide. This is snowball effect, the way this is happening. Then there was this morning, and over the weekend we had a part of this conversation as well. Senator Rand Paul calls on Elon Musk Doge to audit U.S. gold reserve at Fort Knox to ensure it's still there. Well, we talked about this over the weekend and how there was a comment that went around asking for an audit. And Elon was like, well, surely it's reviewed at least every year. And then it was said here further down by Gold Telegraph, who we use all the time as a trustworthy source, not since 1994. I spoke to Ron Paul about it. Come on in. So again, how are you going to do that? Well, you audit the gold, make sure it's there. And when you find out it is there, you do exactly what Charles Hoskins had said about the same thing with the Treasury and bonds. You search it with AI, you go through it, scan it, make sure you get rid of all the waste, abuse, and fraud that you can find. Tokenize it because you've cleaned it out from anything that shouldn't be there, and then get it onto a blockchain. And I think that's the next move to happen after you do this audit, just like they're doing in all of the government agencies. Doesn't it make sense? Of course it does. Senator Cynthia Lummis says, you know what? She says, talking about the reviewing gold, she says, Bitcoin fixes this. A Bitcoin reserve could be audited anytime, 24/7 with a basic computer. It's time to upgrade our reserves. It's a great point, but nonetheless, nonetheless. Or you could just put the gold on the XRP ledger and solve its transportability problem. It's exactly right. Because you can't just sell all the gold for Bitcoin and now it's on the Bitcoin ledger. Every monetary shift that has happened in human history has been underpinned by gold. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news to some, and I think it's good news. But the transformation to a new digital on-chain economy, yes, will be underpinned by God's money. God's money. Gold. Write that down. And interestingly enough, about putting it on the XRP ledger, which I think they should tokenize and put on the XRP ledger, take a listen to this clip. You're going to love this.
Now switch to English. Right, I'd like you guys to introduce again Julia, who is the head of the Grants XRPL program. 1 billion XRP person for distributed grants here.
So Julia Heitner is head of the XRP Ledger Grants program in Brazil, apparently, and she's in charge of distributing 1 billion XRP there.
Right, and then she can walk through more about the grants program. Okay, thank you very much.
Great. Thank you so much, Silvio. You're making me sound much more important. I'm not the person who's in charge of the entire pot of money, so, but some of it.
Okay, that's interesting, right? And that's Julia Heitner, obviously in charge of the XRP Ledger Grant Program Manager for RippleX Developer, right? Very cool. Now, this is what she said yesterday. XRP will be gold backed and priced at $2,953 by Q2 25 this year. A $10,000 to $35,000 XRP price range is now a real possibility. The financial shift is happening. Are you ready? Now, I'm not saying she's right, but I tell you, I've always believed that XRP would be underpinned in its value by multiple assets, not just gold. She believes otherwise. And who am I to strike it down? She's closer to the sun than I am. I don't know if she's right. It's just her personal opinions. Obviously, all my tweets are my own. So I get that. But I find this interesting that she feels that bullish about it. I don't know what's going to happen. I know that she doesn't either. It's her own opinion. I'm not going to pin that on her. But I love the optimism. I love the bullish sentiment of this because going beyond the number she's saying it would be, just looking past that, the larger point that I walk away with this is that she's working with the grant program. She's a grants program manager. She's super bullish on where we're going and in short order. I don't care about the numbers that are there. I mean, I hope she's right. But more importantly, it's about the transformation and the macro shift that's taking place. And this is why it's gotten so quiet around here lately with all the infighting attacks that have been happening to other YouTubers like myself. A lot of that stuff has fell to the floor because those people don't no longer have an argument anymore. So now it's either get with us or get gone, because the obvious news is telling us exactly where we're going, and it's exactly as we've said since the last 6-7 years that we've been here. And thank God for it, because we didn't say it because we knew we were right. We said it with caution the entire time, and we still practice caution. Because this is the transformation of the monetary system. This is the greatest wealth transfer in the history of mankind. Don't believe it, it's still true. The greatest financial paradigm shift in the history of mankind. That's where we are today. Now, what it looks like on the other side of that, maybe it's more like Julia, maybe it's a little more like what we talk about. I don't know. But I think where we're right is that it's happening. And with that, we don't need to know every single detail, just that it is happening. We can all plan accordingly. I showed this yesterday, and I'm showing it again today. $8, $13, $27 based on the Fibonacci levels. I absolutely love this chart. You know I love Egg Rag Crypto's work. But he lays it all out here. Here's all your fib lines. And we know 0.618 is a very, very important fib line in the XRP history. And we know that 0.618 is the $27 mark, which is why I focus on it, because it's just something about it, knowing that the 0.618, like you can see right here, 618. Look where it holds support over in these big moments here, right? So it'll be interesting to see where we're at when we get here. How long does it take to get there? I don't know. Again, we don't need to have every answer. We just need to know we're on the right path and that we're stacking our pennies next to their dollars. Not financial advice, but this is where we are on this day. And I couldn't be more excited that we're all here together. Now we're going inside the Freedom Zone, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to want to join us. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is going to break down money laundering. He's going to break it all down. Yeah, the Ponzi scheme and war. I hope you will join us. Go underneath the video, click the link, and come on in. We're going in right now.